Yo, what's up guys? It's your boy Nitrostorm here. Welcome back to Revive the Witch. So, where am I non-free-to-play account again? Because Amorai was recently released as an exclusive summon, and I pulled for her. Unfortunately, it took me quite a bit of summons to get her. I think 12 multis worth after the discount. So, I spent quite a bit to get Amorai, and I've raised her to Ascend 4. And I still need to, use her a bit more to create a review. So for now, this video will just be a simple showcase. So without further ado, let's take a quick look at her skills. So we have her at passive level 1, which is more accessible. So first skill heals all allies and gives them a buff called Psyched, which makes it so that attacks ignore the enemy's physical defense equal to 20% of Amorai's attack. And this is a 2-cost order skill. And the second skill is a charge, medical precaution. It grants all allies a shield equal to 21% of Amorai's attack for 15 seconds, as well as increasing their attack, defense, and crit damage by 30%, 30%, and 30% respectively for 10 seconds. And her passive recovers 1 chaos energy when using the skill diagnosis. Now, at level 2, this will recover 2 chaos, so I think it's recommended to make her as passive level 2 for the extra chaos, as using this would make it so that you recover 4 chaos, which is perfect for most of the assassins as their chaos skill costs 4 to use. Also, one more thing to keep note is that if you take a look at her first skill, regardless of the skill level, the ignore defense is always going to be equal to 20% of Amorai's attack. And looking at the charge skill as well, outside of the amount of shield changing, the attack, defense, and crit damage buff will stay at 30%. So now that's out of the way, the main stat to raise Amorai is just attack. So just give her as much attack as possible. Same for your armor, and then same for your ring, and that's about it. So just for a quick showcase, we're going to be doing like something simple. So first things first, we go to formation. And for now, we'll be using this team with Selania, Amorai, and Catherine. And then this is her stats if you're wondering. And then this is Catherine's stats if you're wondering. So normally, I think you should be able to use them on default mode, but you can use them on free mode or manual for more effective play. But for now, we'll do it like this. So we'll do it up until perhaps the first Arcana burst. Well, first 2. So if you notice, it was pretty slow. And I'll talk about that in a minute after we compare Amorai to someone like Tounel. So as you can see, we're reaching around a consistent about 150, 160k DPS. And then let's move on to the second now. Second burst. And then we'll leave it until the time runs out. So as you can see, we're dealing around 160s, nearly 170k now. And we dealt a total damage of 12 million. So, pretty decent. The first bit, like the first moments are kind of slow in terms of getting that first Arcana burst. But as you can see, the damage started ramping up after the first Arcana burst, because that's when Amorai uses her first skill, where we get that extra 20% ignore defense, which will stack on top of Selania's 20% ignore defense. So that's 40% in total. Well, 20% of her attack and 20% of Amorai's attack, which is going to be a different amount of defense ignore. But on top of that, we also have a defense reduction from Catherine. So, that's a lot of defense down, which should theoretically mean that we will essentially destroy enemies because their defenses are so low. So we'll do a quick comparison with Tounel, since this is just a showcase, not exactly a review. We'll make a proper review in due time, as well as a separate showcase on top of that with Amorai and Sally, just to see how they work together. So Tounel is pretty much the same thing as you already know. Just give her as much attack as you can and she's good to go. Alright, so pretty much same deal here. Go on full auto. And then we'll do up to the same time point. And then we'll compare the DPSs along the way. So this is the first Arcana burst. Just need to wait for the second one to finish as well. So right now around 130, 140k DPS. So I guess you could say it's really noticeable that it might be a bit low. But we'll have to give it a chance after the second Arcana burst to see if the DPS improves or if they catch up. Okay, so right now as you can see, the damage is starting to catch up as well. And the damage though is a bit lower, probably because it takes less time for Tounel's comp to, gain the Arcana burst. So as you can see, the damage is a little bit lower, but we have to keep in mind that this is without the element buff, and with Amorai, they had the buff active. And also just keep in mind that Amorai is also passive level 1, and I believe at passive level 2 you will see more chaos skills being thrown out during the Arcana burst, which I think makes a big difference. And then in terms of the timing thing, I did time it off camera. And in terms of DPS in a certain time frame, I believe they were about equal, except Amorai was performing a little bit better, which does make sense anyway, as it was same element as well as extra ignore defense. So Amorai will definitely benefit with more attack. So in the case that she gets a unique equipment, the ignore defense is going to be much, much greater. And I think that's where the edge starts to appear, and the gap between Amorai and Tounel when it comes to brimstone teams will increase. Alright, so now let's take a look at her in another scenario. So we'll do Chronospace Breach this time. We'll just refresh all of this. And we got a pretty decent team here, relatively built with a nearly maxed out Akasha in terms of her UE. And this will be our team comp. So we'll have Solania at the back, as you can see from the stats already. Amorai in the middle, as she is kind of squishy. Well, both just as squishy anyway. And then Catherine up front, of course. And we'll be on full auto as usual. So I haven't really mentioned this as I haven't done a PvP video in a while. And when it comes to tanks, specifically a Fallen, this team, regardless if you have Amorai or Tounel, may have some trouble in terms of defeating a very, very well built a Fallen, especially with unique equipment. And the only team that I've seen so far that I've used which handles every single type of team properly would be the Ushpia team that I've shown in a previous video. Of course, that team is more built now. Alright, let's take a quick look at this team. So, again, pretty decently built. Level 90s, but they're using odd gear. Probably because I'm not high enough in the Master League yet. So that's fine, we'll just go through these guys. And then I'll refresh afterwards so you can get a Fallen comp, as that is the biggest weakness right now, I think, for this comp. Unless Amorai changed that, we'll just have to wait and see. So normally, the comp that I'm using right now works even if you have Tounel, but that comp does struggle against a Fallen. So we're gonna test now against this a Fallen. Yeah, a Fallen became pretty strong since the unique equipment, as in she's strong against brimstone teams. So we'll hope to win anyway. So we'll just see. So I think once a Fallen uses her shield, that's when it's game over. But that time, I think we managed to beat them ASAP. So let's try and look for a tankier A Fallen. I mean, this one will this one's pretty straightforward. We'll win that one. Trust me on that. We'll just try and get a. Okay, I don't want to use items now. So this one's like, you know, essentially a mirror comp. You know, people are already using her for that reason anyway, because they're all brimstone. But yeah, the main reason why it struggles against A Fallen is after A Fallen uses a shield, because the team comp doesn't have any source of dispel like the Saltstone comp with either Yui or Ella. And so after A Fallen uses her skill, the team starts to struggle a little bit. A Fallen's able to counter with her S2, which deals a lot of damage to Catherine because Catherine's kind of weak to magic damage. And you know, that's where the sadness begins after she falls. But outside of that, this team works everywhere else without question. And that's about it in terms of PvP. So I think we'll just stop after this fight unless the next fight has an A Fallen that's pretty strong. Alright, no A Fallen. Refresh costs 5, you nailed it. Alright, nothing. Okay, one last thing. We'll do path not taken. So obviously, one of the main reasons that you might go for Amorai would be if she is good in path not taken. So I guess we'll do one of these. But let's try the Chivalric order. We might actually die him, so we'll just have to see. So let's do something like increase physical defense, right? No, let's do no physical defense. Like just plain increase. And we'll see how fast we clear it. And then that difference compared to clearing it normally. Well, I guess I could use share up front and then do that, but we'll do that another time. This is just to test Amorai. So we'll fight against these two with no... Oh, forgot to press auto. Fight against these two without any defense buffs, just to see how fast we can clear it. Well, on full auto, of course, but when you're doing this, I think it's more recommended to play on free auto or manual. Alright, so it took us 27 seconds. Well, I guess we can test this now if we were to use a different character. I mean, yeah, if we were to use Tounel. So, same team, but we use Tounel. And we'll have to do something like this and then use a normal red, you know, with no stats, just to get the stat boost, you know, just so it's a little bit more fair. So we only have a 5% stat difference, which shouldn't give much of an edge to Amorai. It should be more fair regardless. Alright, so no defense. Alright, pause, wait for it to be defeated and then bring Tounel in there. And then let's see how long this takes. So when it comes to trying to finish it ASAP, it does make more sense for Tounel to be up there because she is able to reach the Arcana burst much earlier. Alright, now let's change things up. So hopefully this doesn't take too long. But we'll try out anyway. So we'll keep the same comp with Tounel and see how long this takes. Alright, so wait and then start now. There we go. Alright, it doesn't seem like it'll take too long, so I think we can just watch it out. Oh, actually, well, it might take some time. But we'll be fine, we'll be fine. So I'll just pause the video here and I'll come back to you guys once they're nearly down. Alright guys, so we're back. So this guy is nearly down, and it did take a bit longer than I expected. You know, we did nearly reach the 180-second mark there, but we barely went under. So we'll remember this time, 179 seconds with Tounel. So now we'll do the same thing with Amorai. So this is mainly to see if there is going to be a significant impact with the extra Igno defense coming from Amorai. So firstly, we have to give back her gear. And then, yep, oops. And then the ring. Alright, there we go. So this one will just be in normal full auto as well. And then after this, we'll come with conclusions as well. So let's see how long this will take. Maybe I have to pause the video again and come back once they're nearly done. Well, I guess from first impression, it kind of looks like the HP is going down faster than Tounel, maybe. Alright, I'll come back to you guys once the enemy is nearly defeated again. Well, after this burst anyway. Yep, I'll come back, guys. Alright, we are back, guys. So, as you can see, in terms of the combat time, there is a difference between Amorai and Tounel. I don't think the 5% extra stat difference makes that much of a difference in terms of combat clear time. So I think it's mainly with the Igno defense that Amorai applies that helps a lot here, as well as the increased attack defense and other buff as well, and crit damage. So what does that tell us? Well, Amorai, since she increases Igno defense as well as crit damage, you preferably want someone with a unique equipment to fully maximize the crit damage that Amorai gives, because she doesn't give a crit rate buff to your squad, and so you're going to have to rely on good gear as well as unique equipment depending on what they give to give you the extra stats. So that's pretty much it for the showcase of Amorai with a little bit of comparison to Tounel. Hopefully you guys found this a bit useful. I'll try and do a proper review on Amorai soon, as well as a separate showcase with Amorai and Sally together to see if they form any sort of special AI or something of the sort, or like special synergy between them. It's been your boy Nitrostorm. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next stream or video. Peace.